The 200th episode of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the dirty Danaconda, Dan Sesnett. Dan, how you doing?
I am blessed to be here 200 episodes deep with some good friends of the show, with you. Just chilling, bro. In a good mood despite a terrible work day and the loss of a pet recently, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, man. I wasn't aware of that. My
Oh
condolences.
no, she was an older cat, but we miss her. R.I.P. Lulu. But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
How old is she? Don't mind me asking.
12. So
Oh, wow.
so
Squeaks is 13, but she doesn't really act like she's 13.
well, Lulu was awesome, and unfortunately, just we're gonna miss her, but moves on, and everybody is doing okay. So.
R.I.P. We're going
R.I.P.
to
Lulu.
dedicate this episode low key to your cats. And
Ironically enough, you said low key. The other cat's name is low key. Cool segue, bro.
No shit.
But carry on. I'm just derailing the 200th episode completely. Go on.
Yeah. So that's going to conclude our edition of Kitty Talk. But yeah, joining us as well is our good friend of the show, Drew Rivera. Drew, how you doing tonight?
Yo, what's up, dudes? 200 episodes in. Let's go.
Have you listened to every single one, Drew?
No, because when I got back into wrestling, because me and Druck started like I don't know why we had like a hiatus at one point of like our friend. It just like
life.
But yeah, it was like weird. And then all of a sudden, I seen him advertise the podcast on his Facebook, and I was like, oh, let me listen to this because like knowing Eric since we were kids, I was like, well, he's gonna if he knows anything, it's this. And I started listening to it. I don't know how many episodes in, and I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't know. I wasn't watching NXT. I wasn't, and I was like, the way you guys just talked about it just made me just be interested in what was going on. So I started watching again, and then you know what I mean. Life happens better. There you go.
Did you hit him up and be like, "Yo, I could do it better than this dude"?
No,
you should kick me off the show or no?
Never.
Just checking. I'd have flamed me back then. I mean, I still flame me now, but thanks, appreciate it.
Drew's always kept his ego in check, man. And we've always enjoyed having you on here, and it's been great just kind of bringing you into the modern landscape of professional wrestling and how you can how you have more of a full view than others that were lapsed fans that are coming back. You're seeing more of the variety of different promotions that are out there. And, I feel like you have grasped onto, the great world of wrestling that we have today.
I wasn't watching Independence.
What was that?
I wasn't watching Independence. I didn't even know what New Japan was. AEW, I didn't even know started. And then I was like, oh, there's way more wrestling out there than just WWE. And
it was WWE and NXT that got you back into it?
No, it was NXT and AEW really got me back into it. And then I started watching WWE more, and I was like, because I kind of gave up on it after all your childhood heroes are kind of gone. I was just like, these new guys coming in, they're not Stone Cold, they're not The Rock, and I was just kind of like one of those. I was one of those at 20 something years old. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And then I got back into it because of the podcast. It just made me interested to know who you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. And I think the first comparison I kind of gave you was Darby Allin is like this generation's Jeff Hardy.
Yes,
and, that link I feel like kind of got you and hooked you a bit.
That was.
Yeah, and I do also want to shout out to a good friend of the show and longtime friend of mine, Mike Lewis. He is also a long-term listener of the show. He's also Sturdy's cousin. Sturdy gives us a lot of help for the show. Sir Sturdy, shout out to you, man. Your podcast work with Sir Sturdy. You guys gave us a big lift going on the Z Network and everything. But just going back to what I was saying, I want to give a shout out to Mike. I passed by him today because we do work in close premises to each other. So he said that he was going to be tuning in, and he said he's the biggest fan. And I said, well, I think that Drew Rivera would definitely give you a run for your money, but support.
Oh no.
Yeah. But
oh no.
Yeah, we're all me, Drew, and Mike. We're all friends going back to elementary school.
Same neighborhood.
It's pretty wild that we're all still watching wrestling And yeah, I mean, I just showed Drew a picture recently at my birthday party, and we were all holding up a wrestling ring.
And I think Mike and Drew are both going to be on the upcoming Fantasy Wrestler Draft episode coming in May.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. We're going to get it right this time.
To be honest with you, I haven't reached out to Mike about it yet, but I'm sure he would be down.
He did our inaugural that we've never released, so I think that he should be.
We released it. We did release that. It's just
we released it into the wild to never.
Yeah,
be is what we did with that.
Yeah, I mean, we had our wrestler draft that we did. I would consider that more of a dry run.
For this year.
From this year, but I think that we're gonna get something really special going. We want to get a couple wrestlers in on it. I've already reached out to one. Maybe I have who I want as the other wrestler. Maybe two more.
Surprises abound.
We'll see how that all goes down in the coming weeks.
Let us know in the chat.
Before Omar gets settled, I just want to mention too, it was a blast at Wrestlers Lab Showabunga 2 this past weekend. I attended in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. A lot of really great talents out there. A lot of very friendly people that I had met. I can't just name everybody off the top of my head, but great hospitality. I think the Mecca is a very solid venue, and it's in like a nice little neighborhood in New Jersey, so it was ample parking. I really appreciated that too.
So here's what I'll say. Don't say too much about the matches because I would like to review it with you when I do get the chance to see it.
Sure. And and he's editing everything together.
Correct.
Right now.
Coming to YouTube.
It is going, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Because I've kind of came to find that there are wrestling like cameramen that work all over like the country and work for many different promotions. So
correct.
They have a lot on their plate as far as like putting together shows and editing and stuff like that. So we're gonna have to wait for the finished product of the Wrestlers Lab show that we just had. And also to your point, as long as they're working, I'm okay with waiting. Let's just put it that way. You know what I mean? So good for them. Hopefully everything goes well. I can't wait to see it. So I think that what we should do, I'm going to release Omar there for a minute just because he's got a little bit of background noise. But what I think we should do now, Eric, is tell everybody what we are going to be doing with Wrestlers Lab in the future. I don't know if you've got it pulled up here or not, but they've already released a couple of matches. But we can proudly say that Smarknado and Wrestlers Lab are presenting what is being referred to as, and I don't get this reference, I apologize in advance, Wrestlers Lab, but it's called Oh My Glob. I didn't get the reference at first. It is a show that I have seen a handful of episodes of with my niece, but it is also one of those children's shows that has a lot of adult humor in it.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
It is a fun watch. It's from Adventure Time.
I should have known.
This character, Glob, that's on there. I mean, I'd probably have to watch the episode or something for more context.
Well, hey, I would like to watch it for more context as well. I completely understand. But we are really proud to say that we are presenting this show. This is a show that we're helping promote via sponsorship on our part. So always support Wrestlers Lab so they can keep doing big, awesome things. They've already announced 2 matches. Check out their Twitter. The first being the Outfielders, and they are facing, and if I'm pronouncing this wrong, I apologize, but the Batiri I didn't know if it was Batiri or Batiri or whatever.
Yeah, Batiri, OGs of Chikara.
Yeah. So that's pretty exciting. And then we have the match that was announced today of Ziggy Haim versus Delilah Doom, which is super big. As
I
far
love
as
Delilah
indie
Doom,
women's wrestling,
and she's not. She's located out on the West Coast. She has a like jazzercise 80s exercise gimmick, and it's fantastic. And I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and she's mostly on the West Coast. I want to see her get more bookings elsewhere. And we're so glad to be sponsoring the show that she is going to be on the East Coast for.
Yeah. And typically a West Coast wrestler, like you said. So so that's very, very good to keep in mind. So what are we starting off with tonight, Eric?
Yeah. You know what? How about let's do our top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time, men and women. Why not? Because we've done every other top 5. We've been kind of putting this one on ice for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's, with our 200th episode, let's bring it in. Let's do the tried and true of who we think is our favorite wrestlers.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Should we start women first, or should we start men first, or should we just go by the whoever wants to go?
I think that we are going to do it like we've been doing our most recent top 5s, and we should each do our number 1 through 5 or 5 through 1, however you would like to present it. And we should start out with the men. And I think, being that it is the guest of the show, I would like to have Drew go ahead and go first.
Yeah. Go ahead, Drew.
So, Drew, present us with your top 5 favorite male wrestlers of all time.
All right. Do I get OLIs, like outside looking in, or like whatever?
Yes.
You know? All right.
Absolutely.
Starting out OLIs, it's Mick Foley, Sabu, Rey Mysterio, Undertaker.
Okay. That's a long list of greats.
And then 5 through 1 is for me is Edge, The Rock, Stone Cold, Jeff Hardy, and Shawn Michaels.
Okay. So give me a little bit of a background on that. What's your impetus behind Shawn Michaels being your
because Shawn Michaels is just the best to ever lace him up. He just makes it look the most realistic. You know, he none of his when he sells.
Have you seen him sell? Because that does not look realistic.
No, I mean like it flows. You know what I mean? Like if somebody hits him like with the really hard ass punch, it just everything he does, I guess, makes sense, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that looks like wasted movement. It's exactly how you would expect him to take it and fall. It's just flawless the way that he makes a fake fight look.
You're saying your answer to the age-old question of Shawn or Brett is Shawn.
Yes. Give it to me. But then again, I just think Shawn's the best. I just think his storylines that me and Eric were talking about the other night, that second run he did when he came back, like cemented it. He was even better than he was before he left. And it's he's had monster. He's Mr. WrestleMania. Like he was just the biggest star. And like he wasn't the biggest star, like height wise and weight wise and stuff. But I just thought that he just was around for so long and just did it at such a high level with everybody. Everybody wants to work with him. When your peers are saying that you're the best, like you're the best.
I will give you that. He's got a great wrestling mind. He is very fluid in the ring.
His promos are good. Just the guy does it all.
I don't know, man. It's just, to me, I'm not that dude. I will say that if I gun to my head, I'm a Brett over Shawn guy personally.
That's fine.
But
I am too, but I can't deny the body of work that Shawn has put together, and just especially how he, going back to what Drew said, how he ended his career, and just the run that he was on, and how he put so many people over on his way out too. And yeah, Shawn, I think that Shawn is Mr. WrestleMania for a reason. He rises to the occasion. He always puts on the best and most memorable performances.
I mean, think about it. His like 60-minute Iron Man match is still considered like one of the best. The Hell in the Cell, the first one with Taker, like one of the best. Is like every time the guy does something, it's just like, oh, you got to top that. You know what I mean? His feud with Vince, DX, first time and the second time. You know, his whole career was just lightning, right? It was just insane. And he's just my favorite. He's just my favorite of all time. That's just
subjective. It's subjective.
I agree.
It's subjective. I respect it, and I think a lot of people would be in your corner. I think more people would be in your corner than in mine, to be honest with you.
I mean, even other matches, like the Kurt Angle match, with the match with Jericho at WrestleMania.
That might be my favorite WrestleMania match.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Flair.
Ric Flair, the Flair match. That's what I mean. Like it's just, I don't know, man. And then like you said, the match with Taker, him being involved in the Triple H and Taker matches the 2 years after, like just the guy just makes you feel insane. But like he brings you to that level when he gets up that high. He puts
you know what's crazy too is that I saw something recently, and I don't know how accurate this is. I'd have to do a real research. But he didn't hold the world title for like the last 9 years of his career, and he still had that sort of impact, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. It's like kind of crazy. Exactly. I don't think anybody else could have that kind of impact.
I mean, he won it when he came back he won it when he came back in the chamber after he wrestled Triple H at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. But after that,
he never had a title run again.
Right. And everybody believed he could win it when he put over Cena, things like that. You're like, Shawn could win this match.
Yeah.
But he just puts him over.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know what really sucks? And I'm gonna vent for a second right now. I miss the WWE network like mad because now Peacock sucks to watch matches on. You used to be able to skip to matches on any card you wanted on any show ever. And now I don't have that. So I don't have that luxury of going back and just watching these one-off matches from chunks of career that were so great. I have to sit there and fast forward through a clunky ass app to do it.
They also have, they've put together compilations and stuff like that. I mean, they do exist, to be fair.
Yeah, but sometimes I like to watch a card and watch 6 of the 9 matches. You know what I mean? Like a WrestleMania where I want to skip over a crap match or 3, in a row.
Right.
I just miss.
You can still do that. It's just the interface isn't as nice.
The interface sucks. I miss the interface.
It's not as user friendly,
bro.
What?
I said first world problems.
Boomer as hell.
Well, bro, Boomer. Suck my dick from the back.
This is definitely something that a boomer would complain about. Yeah. You're the closest thing to a boomer than we are. Boomer.
Yeah, okay, I got I'll fucking quit this show.
When are you eligible for AARP? 5 years?
Not fucking soon enough. Give me that shit. No, actually, you know what? Fuck you, because you're always eligible for AARP.
Oh, is that right?
I know that because my sister-in-law is a member and she is not even out of her 20s. So there.
Wow. Okay. I guess
so fuck your AARP jokes.
You sure you didn't confuse it with AAA?
No, I didn't confuse it with AAA. I'm not a fucking idiot. I am, but I can read.
All right. Hey, well. Drew, who do you have for your top 5 women?
Oh shit, let me open my phone back up. Top 5 women.
Is Omar here with us?
I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Not yet. Okay. Go.
Okay.
Proceed.
My OLI right now is from actually I don't even know what she thinks she's just independent, but it's Becca. I love her.
I love that. I love that.
She's super athletic, dude, and I just looked at it as I just looked at it as who am I enjoying the most to watch right now, and Becca's crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen her in a match in forever, man. Is she injured?
Oh, in forever. Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen her either, but I don't know. She was nasty though.
Yeah.
I think she's been traveling and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Dummy XO too.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. And Becca, both friends of the show, one of the 200.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. All right. So yeah, then I got Bailey, Bianca Belair, Mickie James, Lita, and Trish.
Okay, are those all your honorable mentions?
No, that was the list. Sorry.
All right, so
you say
your one number 1 is number 2 because I don't know what order it's in.
Say slow it down for the fans.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. My 5 is Bailey, Bianca, Mickie James, Lita, and Trish.
Okay. So Trish is your number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. Her and Lita were pretty hard. Were pretty it was depending on, you know what I mean? You could interchange them to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just think that one banger they put on kind of just started really putting women's wrestling on the map. That women could actually wrestle.
The main event that they did.
Yeah. And it was, you know what I mean? And that Vince just did it the same way he was telling JR to hire Mick Foley so he could fail. Just to, you know what I mean? They went out there and put a banger on and basically just told Vince, fuck you. We can do this shit too. And I think a lot of girls, that's why we have so many women wrestlers now. it all saw that and was like, okay, I'm athletic, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I like pro wrestling and just I don't know. I think the impact is crazy.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I get it.
Plus the movesets too were really good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just like, and plus I like that acrobatic style Lita was flying around. You know, I'm just that's how I am.
It's a hard, that was a tough era for women when they first came in. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Whew. All right.
I like that list, Drew. I think we're still waiting on Omar. So
do you want me to do mine?
Dan, how about you go next? Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I have one honorable mention, and I would feel like a cornball if I put him on my top 5 list because I truly haven't watched enough of his career, but he is one of my favorites and one of the greatest of all time. That's Okada. Now, New Japan being difficult to access, we don't have as much of his career as we might like. But to deny his greatness and what he's doing now, and I hope that he continues some of that in AEW in the future. So that's my one honorable mention.
Nice.
I want to say one thing. I'm putting politics aside for this because some of the guys on my list have done questionable things, as everybody's lists, I'm sure, contain the same people. But my number 5 is Chris Jericho. The dude is the chameleon of all chameleons when it comes to professional wrestling. He's made me laugh more times than maybe The Rock or 1 and 1A when it comes to legitimate belly laughs back in the day. Love the man. I don't like what he's doing now. I want him to go away for a while and get that feeling back because I think he can do it. My number 4 is the greatest wrestler of all time. That is Bryan Danielson, being the best technical wrestler of all time. Also an outstanding promo that I don't think he ever nearly gets enough credit for. And to witness his Planet's Champion run live and in the flesh was one of my favorite runs of any heel in WWE in recent memory. That hemp belt and Eric Rowan as his heavy was just good shit. And my number 3 is arguably the most versatile big man of all time, next to maybe Vader, but that's Samoa Joe.
I love it.
He's been huge in multiple eras, whether it's Ring of Honor, NXT, WWE, AEW. The man has been on top no matter what, no matter where, except for WWE, unfortunately. That's a Vince McMahon thing. And with that being said, I want to give a big, shout out to Adam Cole, who is like the small version of Samoa Joe in that no matter where he's been, he's always been on top and great. It's been an unfortunate flub here right now, but I just like to give him his due because he does that. All right. My number 2, going back to when I was a kid, my number 2 is Randy Macho Man Savage.
Love it.
I probably would have said Hulk Hogan if he didn't turn out to be a raging bigot / piece of shit. He probably would have taken the spot here, but I felt like somebody from my, childhood era had to represent here. And that had to be Randy Macho Man Savage, right? With some of arguably the greatest matches of all time. And one of my most memorable matches of all time is still at WrestleMania 7, the him versus Warrior in the career match. So, just love that match. And finally, I think that the most obvious one is going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I love that.
Steve Austin is
wow. You know what? We've had discussions before, Dan, and you always said you were a Rock guy over a Stone Cold guy.
I've amended my thought process. You can change your mind, right, when presented with evidence, and I think that the longevity for both was there. I think had Stone Cold's knees not turned into literal jello, he would have proved that he was better. I'm going with the Biggie over Tupac. I think had they both lived, Biggie would have been better in the long run. Right?
Yeah,
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So I put Biggie over Tupac almost every single time. Sometimes I've put Tupac over Biggie. I've thought about it, but maybe. No, it's Stone Cold for me. He changed wrestling. He was just an icon in so many different ways that, you know, he's undeniable that without him, wrestling wouldn't be where it is today. It just wouldn't be.
Absolutely.
It would be a very, very different thing.
No doubt, man.
So,
love it. Who you got for women?
all right, man. Well, I don't have any honorable mentions, but I went by era for me here, right? I don't have necessarily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I have Trish and Lita, just like Drew did. They were that sort of ingrained women's, you know, feud to me that sort of brought my eyes and my attention to that. Whereas a lot of, you know, female wrestlers, you know, watch a lot of the Joshi stuff coming up, whether it be the Toyotas or you know, or whatnot. But to me, it was Trish and Lita. In that same vein, China. China was just something different, man. And unfortunately, you know, her demons got the best of her and whatnot, and she isn't treated as such, but she was different. She was something special, and to not have, I know the Hall of Fame is kind of goofy, but it's still very much a disrespect to not have her in there by herself, in my opinion. I don't tend to dwell on it, but it is not something that is necessarily something that WWE should be proud of. They should be showcasing a talent like that, you know, brought eyes to the bigger women that wanted to wrestle. They said, oh shit, we can do that. So it was great. And lastly, in my new era, Sasha Banks and Bayley. If it wasn't for them, I don't think that, you know, they are the Trish and Lita of their day. They've inspired a whole new generation. And that match at TakeOver Brooklyn was
insane.
Just something to behold. I think about it. I just got a little bit of a chill just thinking about that match, right?
And definitely it was a turning point for women's wrestling. And the more and more like women that are coming through and becoming professional wrestlers today are citing that match as the inspiration as to why they wanted to become a professional wrestler. Because I think that match proved that women can absolutely steal the show, not only steal the show, but have a legitimate match of the year candidate, you know?
I think it did. I think there was lists that it won match of the year. In some capacity, even if it was not even just women's match of the year, but match of the year and
overall match of the year. Yeah. And it was in there. It was in that conversation, you know,
that show was incredible, man. The whole show, it was just absolutely a knockout show, top to bottom.
NXT was fire.
So fire. Just
hell yeah.
So very fire. Do we have Omar?
I don't believe we have Omar yet.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
we can hear you. Omar is here. Yay.
Yo,
welcome
dude,
to the show.
For people who are in the great country of Texas, and that means I have to drive with the educated and totally not inbred population here, and so as a result, and make appearing places and getting from point A to point B. Oh, I shouldn't use such complicated languages. Very tough. I don't want to lose any of our Texas people. But hey, I did get to hear a lot of this. It was scratchy here and there. And honestly, there was time because my men's list has not been finalized since you guys told me to put one together. And as Drew and Dan are talking about their guys, I'm like, that's right. That's what you should be there. And I am no closer to like finalizing mine, but I just want Samoa Joe and Shawn Michaels. The point on both of those guys are so valid, even though they're not people who are on my list. For women, it was easier for me to make my list, and I don't mean that in this, but it was me because I didn't really include anyone recently. I kind of looked at it from a perspective of trailblazers that laid the foundation for us to have a possible discussion of picking a top 5 of today. Because if you look at the just in any like Could you imagine having that? Say there's 3 right now major brands or major promotions. So could you imagine that we'd have enough to fill all 3? Like that to me is crazy. Thinking
25 years ago, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Good point.
You know, like that's insane. And we're not talking generic, and we're not talking about valets. Okay, while those still do exist, we're talking as many vibrant and a variety of characters as we would have back in the day in any men's roster. So for me, that made it easy for me to pick Wendy Richter. Because and I'm not going to go towards gatekeepers and talk about people who might have been a little bit more historic or prehistoric that we're talking about. You know, I'm not going to give them applause or give them a hand, no pun intended. But I will say that Wendy Richter is a trailblazer not only just because of her in-ring performance and her actually being a competitor and kind of just going just eye candy, but she's also a trailblazer in bad ways too, in the sense that she is one of the first people that we know just how the politics of backstage affected her, and still she persevered. So Wendy Richter gets a very special shout out in that case.
Yeah, and also for that historical context, you know, Wendy Richter was there in the Rock and Wrestling Connection and was kind of handpicked by Cyndi Lauper as being like this new hot young women's wrestler in the WWE. And I think a combination of politics and fabulous moolah really led to her.
Yes, and when it comes to Fabulous Moolah, as guilty as she is, and she is so guilty, there are individuals that are able to, and it's just another thing that we got to add to the list of Vince things, because any disgust that I have with Moolah, I have to relay that towards the individuals that empower them, because it doesn't seem like it was hidden. And then to go from there, China. I don't know if I can add anything to talk about just how critical she was and still is. I mean, right now, the idea of Nia Jax and Rhea Ripley getting in the face of men and it being over and not a joke, that's you point at her. Then Trish and Lita as a singular entity, even though I'm giving both spots, I just I don't know. I really think with those two, I'm going to put them as a singular entity though, like, because really they do deserve it on an individual basis, but they're so synonymous with one another. And that main event was just a very vivid memory to me, which is like, it's weird because a lot of the moments that stick out to me, you know, from years and years ago are moments like returns or promos. For it to be something that's actually like a match that really stuck out to me and moved me the way it did, that I could watch at any time, it would be that one. It felt special in that moment.
They are going to always be synonymous too. Like I truly believe that without one, you would have never had the other. Like without one pushing the other in that time period, there was never going to be that first sort of spark of a women's revolution, and without one sort of igniting the other. And that's kind of why they're always going to end up that way. It's sad, but you know, also it's very touching. It's heartwarming in a way that it worked.
Yeah,
wrestling soulmates, as they say.
Yeah, but they were such good. Like the way that The Rock and Stone Cold visually looked like opposing that just made their rivalry. Like you don't need to know anything about wrestling, but you can visually see those two and understand that they are not going to get along. Like they got the Ryu Ken type of thing going with Lita and Trish. They're total opposites, and people just forget about how over Lita was, just her looks. So
that moonsault at the time was just revolutionary. Like people, people that were watching, you know, Joshi wrestling at the time were seeing things that were, you know, wild. And on American soil, that wasn't happening. No way.
She could Hurricane Rana with the best of them too.
And that's all from her training in Mexico with Tajiri.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
People
that's
don't
why.
know
That's
that.
what drew me to Lita was her athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
It made perfect sense that she was with the Hardys too. Like perfect.
Yeah,
sense.
and when she debuted, she was with S.A. Rios, and who's straight out of Mexico, Lucha Libre. So, yeah, Lita was awesome.
Yeah, really, really special. And as much as I want to talk about, honoring Finley in this whole discussion and his role in the fact that we're having this discussion, you look at people like Lita, and you're like, Finley wasn't like the Jackie Robinson of training women. There were women who were going out and doing it on their own, finding their own dojos and really, really killing it. So,
Yeah.
But he does deserve a mention. From there, it's not too far from that generation. I think that Victoria was really special. Like in terms of work rate, character work, she's a beast. But she also struck me as somebody who was fundamental to that locker room and rep for the women when it was possible. So
Still
that's
does.
her.
Still does to this day.
Still
Absolutely.
does. And the last one, it was really tough to avoid going into this generation, and as a result, like I kind of tried to hold back because there's so many people that, don't get me wrong, I would love to talk about Naomi right now, who I don't feel like if she was better on the mic just a little bit, I don't think that anyone could doubt that she has the complete package. But I'm gonna go with somebody who was in this awkward phase of in between, and I think she could kick it today too, and that's Caitlyn. So it was just somebody who kind of was in this weird in between phase. But
Who?
5 years. Caitlyn from the WWE. She's really good friends with Big E, so it's not too far off.
Caitlyn.
Yeah. So
Caitlyn, the one that was on NXT?
No.
That was with like AJ Lee?
I think so. Yeah, there was some overlap there. Yeah. That's
okay.
weird to me. So it's a little bit more recent than that. So it was down between Caitlyn and AJ Lee, but just people. But I felt AJ Lee was a little bit more, post Divas Revolution. Or just on the cusp of it. So yeah, just a weird list, and but it was tough not to just pick personal favorites. So
yeah, no, that's the way
I
you
mean,
should
that's
be.
kind of what this is meant to be, man.
That's how we roll.
Yeah. I definitely I couldn't do shit though when it came to guys. I really couldn't. Just like it wound up being like greatest on the mic, greatest in the ring. It was too convoluted. And then I also like thought about some of our mutual friends giving me crap for picks. So I was like, you know what? I don't need the bullying. I'm talking about Goldman. So yeah.
It's fine, man.
He's
harmless.
Yeah.
All right. So my list. I'll go with women first.
Okay.
Such a gentleman.
Yeah, I know. Well, some honorable mentions I have. I want to mention two women that we haven't really delved into or talked about: Medusa and Molly Holly. Those are honorable mentions that I have. Medusa is she may have been the first, maybe next to Sherry, the first woman in WCW to come out there, and she's not just a valet, but she is a full-time wrestler. They integrated her. They basically made the WCW women's division around her.
Yeah.
She was the entire reason for that. And then I put Molly Holly there too, because during that Attitude Era, Molly Holly, initially she was introduced in WCW as Miss Madness, and she had nice competitive matches on Thunder and Nitro and stuff like that. And that was the only women's match that was going. And that just that made an impression on me as a kid. I was just like, wow, well, she's a really good wrestler. And that was before I was, Lita and Trish were doing anything at the time.
I was just going to say, she's actually this. I don't know that this is necessarily a hot take, but she's a better wrestler than Lita or Trish.
I agree.
Completely.
She did become a bigger
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She just got overshadowed by those two at that time, just having this monstrous, feud. And, then there was never going to be multiple women's feuds, right?
Right.
Now, still.
And then a couple other honorable mentions I have. I have Asuka, one of Dan's favorites right there.
Yeah.
China, who we already talked about, Lita, who we've already talked about, and Gail Kim, who we haven't talked about.
She's come up on top 5 lists in the past for multiple episodes for sure.
Yeah, she's just such an unsung women's wrestler, and she is really the reason for the Knockouts division in TNA. For that first happening. And I think that her matches with Awesome Kong, who's someone I didn't include on my list, but if you look back into that early era of TNA, like those matches between those women were fucking unbelievable and stole the show. And some nights were the best match of the night. So,
and now they are again.
Yeah, 100%. So for my actual women's list, my number 5 is Aja Kong. And I went with Aja Kong here because Aja Kong is someone you guys may not all be familiar with, but she is a legendary Japanese women's wrestler. And she was in the WWF for a little while during that Medusa era of that Alundra Blaze era of WWF, which, by the way, Medusa, that's why the whole WWF women's division existed, was because of her. But if I ever want to like watch like a highlight reel of like Joshi women's wrestlers or just somebody just beating the shit out of someone, Aja Kong is just the best. Aja Kong,
she's
like,
brutal.
Popularized the spinning back fist before anyone else did. She's like if Samoa Joe was a women's wrestler. That's why I
was gonna say Eddie Kingston, but
or Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
She just is a fucking ass kicker. My number 4 is Kairi Sane. And this kind of came down to like, would I put Asuka? Would I put Kairi in here? I mean, it wasn't really, I saw live. I watched Kairi win the NXT Women's Championship from Shayna Baszler at Barclays Center, and that really sticks out to me. Kairi is just that has had an attraction as far as I need to watch her wrestle because I need to see this amazing elbow drop that she does. And
Asuka better.
Really fun to root for too. She was my favorite baby face in WWE at one point. I want to see more from her. I know that she's just kind of a cog in the wheel of Damage Control right now. She's just a supporting player, but I want to see her take off as a champion. My number 3 is Trish Stratus. And it's for all the reasons that everyone has talked about, how great she is. My number 2 is Bayley. And, just personally for me, when NXT was going strong about 10 years ago, Bayley was probably my favorite wrestler on that roster. The best babyface at the time. I know it didn't translate well to the main roster, but how she has overcome and how she has just evolved her character has been super impressive, and we're on the verge of another great big Bayley run in WWE. I'm very, very much excited for it.
I hope she wins the title at Mania. I kind of do.
I do too, man.
I love EO, but I think it's Bayley. Bayley deserves that.
It's Bayley's time, and she is just the unsung hero of the 4 horsewomen. The one that's not as decorated as everybody
else. The workhorse.
Really is the workhorse. Absolutely. And my number 1, this may not be a surprise to you guys, but it is somebody that right now is truly one of my favorite wrestlers going today, and that's Masha Slamovich.
I knew it.
I know that might be a little bit controversial, but when we talk about trailblazers and women's wrestling, I think that we are living in an era of trailblazers. Masha was the first ever woman to win the GCW World Championship. She's the first woman to ever win the JCW World Championship. She has gone the distance in TNA with Jordynne Grace. We have yet to see just like the lengths of how impressive she can possibly be in professional wrestling. She's waiting to take off. But she is somebody that I genuinely is in like my current top 5 of people that I go out of my way to watch their matches. So like
So you think that she's your favorite women's wrestler of all time?
Yeah, I do. Because like I don't think I've ever been I don't feel the way going into a Masha match than I feel going into any other women's match. No offense to any of the other women, but just like I know that with Masha, you're gonna expect a fucking war. It doesn't matter who she's in the ring with; it's always believable because she is an ass kicker. And I think that she's gonna go down as a pioneer, bro.
I love Masha, bro. You're not telling me anything I don't agree with. I just think it's wild that at this stage of her career, you're pegging her as your favorite women's wrestler of all time. Listen, I love it. Good for you. I will not besmirch you, to quote a fave. But
I know.
like,
I knew
it's just
I
wild.
knew it was going to be a little wild, man. But I put a lot of thought
okay.
into it, and I was just like,
I believe
you know what? Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
I believe you. Okay.
All right. Now we got our top 5 men's wrestlers. My top 5, not ours. Gonna go with honorable mentions first. Arn Anderson. Everyone knows I love Arn Anderson. You know, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. Love those guys.
Sure.
Since they were in Ring of Honor. Kenny Omega, Mick Foley, Kurt Angle,
Jesus Christ, man.
William Regal, Jericho.
Wow. You don't get any more honorable mentions. You just listed a full roster of
it's a CBS receipt of wrestlers.
Bobby the Brain Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon. Okay, I was just kidding about those, but I do love Heenan. But without further ado, here's my top 5. Okay, my number 5 might be a controversial one, but I am going to go with it because I was so obsessive with studying his matches when I was in high school. My number 5 favorite wrestler of all time is Alex Shelley.
Okay. I thought that might be coming.
Alex Shelley is the first guy that I ever saw combine lucha libre, Japanese pro wrestling, and British grappling into one style.
So let me ask you, Eric, are you going to go full wrestling geek with your list where we're going to kind of go...
I expected this from Dan, I'll be honest.
No, this is like my ultimate wrestling geek pick right here is my number 5. Yeah, and I would have expected that from Dan too, Drew. But I thought I thought Pete
Dunne getting flamed for.
I thought Pete Dunne was going to be number 1. But anyway,
for real.
Yeah, Alex Shelley is just the shit to me, man. When I wanted to be a wrestler when I was in high school, and probably the guy that matches I like studied the most and I like wanted to like emulate my style off of was okay. I see you with your Pete Dunne action figure. I wanted to emulate my style off of the most was Alex Shelley, just because he integrated all those different wrestling styles together into one, you know, solid foundation. And he's still going strong today. I think Motor City Machine Guns is in the conversation for one of the best tag teams of all time as well. Love Alex Shelley, and yeah, he's earned my number 5.
Respect.
Okay, my number 4 is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. For everything that everybody has already mentioned, of course, he was Drew's number 1 here. I don't think I can really add anything that hasn't already been said.
He's a misogynistic fuck, but continue.
I mean, is he now?
He's born again Christian.
Is that why you were giving Drew so much shit about his number 1 pick, because of like you have this idea of how Shawn Michaels is today?
I've just never liked him as a human being. So yes, it does affect.
Hater.
Yes, of course.
Such a hater.
There's 2. You're figuring out I'm a hater. It's 200 fucking episodes. Yes,
I know.
I'm a hater.
I know, but it's just like,
hater.
dude, like he hasn't really done anything publicly for people to be like, ugh, Shawn Michaels
I agree.
Like within the last 20 years. Like, yes, of course, when he was in the 90s, he was all sorts of horrible. He acknowledges how all sorts of horrible.
Right. That's why.
Like, I think he's okay in my book.
Okay.
I really do. I don't know. You can have your own opinion. But
I'm with you, Dan. I don't buy it.
The born again Christian shit is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Thanks, Omar.
My number 3 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Love him. You know, he was my childhood. We've said what we need to say.
So your number one is The Rock?
No, my number two is Bret the Hitman Hart.
And number one, I know it.
My number one is the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, because I think that he is truly the greatest wrestler of all time. I had always said for years that Bret Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. But looking at both of their careers, not only has Danielson had a longer career, but I've been watching Danielson consistently, probably like 4 times longer than I've been watching Bret Hart. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy his stuff the most. I'll watch a Bryan Danielson match over a Bret Hart match usually.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Had Danielson not come back and done this run, do you think you'd have the same number one, or do you think Bret would be there?
It probably would be flipped, if I'm being honest.
I think so too.
I think Danielson would still be in my top 5.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure, I know that.
Probably be flipped. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this run has solidified him. This run solidified him in my top 5. So that's how I can see how this run has solidified him as your number one. Now, can we get back to another thing?
Yeah.
Why am I the one that was going to be the wrestling nerd on this list? Drew?
Why wouldn't you be?
Why would I be more of a wrestling nerd than Eric here?
I think it's attributed to how you are very much an AEW homer these days and come to AEW's defense for like almost anything.
My top 2 were old WWE, but that's fine.
I know.
It was refreshing to see. I got to be honest. I love the growth.
The growth. He said the growth. Dan, how do you respond to that?
I'm gonna fucking. No, I don't. I'm very upset with all of you. I quit.
No. All right. Well, Smarknado with Eric Druckmann and Drew Rivera and Omar Hasib.
No, this show is over with. If I'm gone, this show is done.
All right.
I will burn it to the ground.
All right, buddy. Yeah, you're okay. I think that was fantastic.
Fun times, guys.
Top 5s, all-time favorite wrestlers. Let's talk about kind of our favorite memories of Smarknado since we've been on this show here. Drew, what have been some of your favorite memories?
Since the beginning, where that's what got me back into wrestling, and I appreciate that because wrestling, it gives me something else to do. It gives me something to argue about, or whatever, dick around about, and I just like it. It's I forgot how much I liked it. It made me kind of grow a little bit in a way because I was, like I said, I closed it off just as soon as it was kind of done with with ruthless aggression and everything. I just kind of was like, you know what, fuck this. I was like, I just got too much shit to do, and like I don't give a fuck. And then I got back into it. Now I'm loving it. I go to indie shows now, and I like watched that Wrestle Kingdom from New Japan. That shit was lit. Like I liked all of it. So I'm just kind of enjoying just growing as a wrestling fan and keeping my interest level high.
And just having the understanding that there is so many options that are out there.
So many options.
Mm-hmm.
Too many, one might say, to be honest with you, from time to time. But
the discovering the new indie guys though has been really fun for me. I'm not gonna lie.
For sure.
Fun watching their growth, right? Because
it's like with our dynasty league. You know what I mean? You see these guys that young, and then you just watch them get older and grow into their stuff, and it's just like I like a lot of these.
And Drew, how cool is it that you and I both have a picture with AEW's newest signee, Brian Keith?
Yeah,
yeah, dude, for free on my freaking just like a selfie, like yo, hey, yeah, BK,
I also
BK's my guy.
like to that point. It's like when we started this show, guys like Lee Moriarty were still on the indies. You know what I mean? Like Garcia still on the indies.
Right.
Red Death, Wheeler Yuta still on the indies. Shout out John, I know he's your favorite. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to see what we've seen over this time, of 4 years and the growth from indie wrestling.
Yeah, there's just a lot of talented people out there, man. And it's just people just gotta get a shot. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, I want to mention before he gets into it. I just want to give some flowers to Omar because Omar created our first logo for
Very
Smarknado.
first.
Yeah.
That's right.
He did it.
I was literally gonna start my bit with apologizing for it, but nice.
Yeah, right, man. I mean, I still have it up on my wall in my room. I love it. It's just an original piece. It's
Shout out.
It's friend to a friend. You know, we both have a mutual passion. I met Omar in high school. We were in a Spanish class together. There were a lot of goons.
See,
like we found out pretty quick that we were both like very deep wrestling fans, like very nerdy wrestling fans. I just remember Omar.
Yeah, I know, but I also
Omar said one day,
funny.
Yeah, Omar said one day, everyone has a price. Everyone's got to pay. Because the $1 million man always gets his way. I remember him saying that in class, and I was just like, yes.
I can see Omar.
I just remember Druck like turning around so dramatically, looking at me as if like he just heard like like when a dog sees a returning soldier coming home from the combat, and just like, wait, is that?
Exactly.
But, yeah,
excuse me, were you quoting the $1 Million Man?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. Did you do that in Spanish?
No, but 2 years before that in Spanish class, I sang "Sexy Boy" in only in Spanish.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Is there video evidence of this? Because we would love to see it.
I will look, but
I've been looking for an opening video for Smarknado's live stream for a while now. So if that video exists, I will 100% make that the opening.
I would like that video and Omar dressed like Shawn Michaels and a very grainy like film that's being used too.
Well, I sadly we're old enough where it'd have to be grainy. I don't think I have to do anything.
Apparently, I'm in the AARP, so we are.
It's probably recorded on a razor.
It's your new stable, Dan. You love stables.
I do love stables. That is true.
Stables.
Who's gonna be in it with me though?
The strays this man is catching.
I know, right?
These are direct shots.
Yeah, seriously, dude, it's nonstop.
You're out the window driving by, just
Yeah.
Omar, I still love you guys.
Omar, what are some of your favorite memories of the show?
So, when it comes to specifically the show, I really like the moment where I was just like, I'm not listening to my friends anymore. I'm listening to podcasters. Was the Dan St. Germain interview?
Ooh,
yes, good call.
And it just felt like it just because it was somebody I was so familiar with, and from listening on a podcast. So to hear you guys interact with him, it was that weird moment where I separated myself, where I felt like I was just listening to a podcast, not listening to my friends.
A little bit of work.
And I was very, very, very impressed by how you let him breathe. It was very impressive from a technical standpoint too. So I was like, that's awesome. And anytime you guys have gotten your name out there in any way, that's also stood out to me too, and it felt monumental. And I'm just really happy for it. But from like a personal standpoint, it's not only helped me and Druck reconnect more consistently. Somebody who like I've always appreciated, and to go back to that memory, like obviously us and our shared fandom was really cool, but I think what helped me gravitate to Druck was just how funny I thought he was too, and he really made me laugh because we had a lot of characters in that class, and I won't say her name, but I was going through puberty at the time, and our teacher was really distracted. So for anything to really stand out to me beyond that was impressive, and Druck's sense of humor was definitely up there. So shout out Senorita Brady, shout out Druck. And the other thing is, I gotta say, it's when I think about my early wrestling memories and being a fan, I grew up a couple houses down from Joe Drescher, and so you guys have helped bring him back into the fold to watch again, for better or worse. And
the monster that we've created.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and so while his wife might not be as grateful for that, I am, and yeah, it's just been really cool. And the group chat is also a highlight for me too.
Nice.
As sporadic as I am, but you guys got to understand, I'm in Texas, so I'm forever keeping you guys on mute because I can't have anything spoiled to me like that. So
Understood.
So that's why I will always come back in and like 40,000 things at one point. But
I love it. It makes my morning some days.
Yeah, but it's like, what did these guys say about this? Like, I just saw it now. Okay, what was the reaction last night from those guys? So yeah, man, it's crazy how much this pod has given. But I'm grateful for it.
I appreciate those words,
Thank
Omar.
You. Very kind.
I appreciate your friendship very much. And I just want to tell everyone that's listening a little peek behind the curtain. Our wrestling group chat name is the Ass Daddies. I took it popped me big time when I texted Omar and I was just like, "Hey, Omar, do you want to be an ass daddy?" Without any context.
There should be no context when you join the Ass Daddies.
I needed no context.
Yeah,
you need no context. You are Ass Daddy through and through.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do though is when I'm in the car and you guys text is to like have the car tell me what you guys said and be like, new message from the Ass Daddies.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. Let's go.
Oh my God, guys!
It was a permanently good change. We used to be the Colony Combat Club, but we went through.
Yeah.
I did not pick that name.
Yeah, you guys
I still like it.
On another list.
But
I don't miss Colony Combat Club. It just we're not tough guys, you know.
No,
I mean, speak for yourself.
Like I wanted to be one so bad when I was younger, but Combat Club, I'm not sure.
Dude, I wish we had a live shot of Dolney listening to that line.
Oh yeah.
Well,
John's listening to this while he's training MMA.
Exactly. Like Ben
is that what he's doing now? Is that why he can't be on our show? He's training MMA.
Like
is he really?
Out of the realm of possibility for him. That's all.
I'm gonna start actually. I'm gonna do jujitsu. I can't speak words. I don't know. Jujitsu. BJJ, not BJ's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay.
maybe those. Who knows?
I just want to say that some favorite memories I had of the show. I just want to shout out just all the wrestlers that we have had on. Starting from Travis Huckabee, Jaden Newman, Rip Bison, Delmi Exo, Becca, Joseph Alexander, Ryan Mooney, Colin Delaney, the Creeps, Angelo Carter, Eel O'Neill, and Thick Daddy Andy Brown.
Thick Daddy, let's go.
Yeah. And then we had some celebrity guests as Dan St. Germain and Scott Chaplin. If they're listening, they're probably going to laugh at me calling them celebrities, but I think they're celebrities.
You're a celebrity. You are famous in my eyeballs, gentlemen.
Yes, absolutely.
Within the wrestling world, for sure.
We can't thank all those people enough for just coming on here and helping us out and just, building our brand that we have. And, I guess another favorite memory of mine is when we just started the top 5 and how excited I was to do our first top 5 we ever did. Do you remember what that was, Dan?
Not even a true fan.
Damn.
I smoke a lot of fucking weed, bro.
Our first top 5 was our top 5 mullets in wrestling.
Mullets. It was.
Yeah.
You wanted. And that day, I texted my barber, who I'm still very good friends with, and I said, "Guess what our first top 5 on my podcast is?" She goes, "How the fuck would I know?" And I said, "It's mullets," and she laughed.
Yeah,
and that was the end of the conversation. But she was funny in that regard. Yes, top 5 mullets. I was gonna say top 5 title belts. Honestly, that was gonna be my guess.
Yeah, but we did a lot of great top 5s. We kind of exhausted so many of them.
So many.
So many. I think that in 2024 we can certainly have some new top 5s. Like pick some out that we have done before, but with a 2024 light on them. I think that we'll have a little bit of different lists.
Things change.
But yeah, I'm just really excited about what's to come for this podcast. We're at 200 episodes, but it still feels like we're just getting started. We're sponsoring our first big show next month. We've had more and more guests come on. We've had more and more people following us and watching us every week. So it's just, I'm excited for how this brand is growing at this point.
It's growing. It's growing. Yeah, man. I don't know if you got more, but I guess I can say my piece. Come get all emotional about it.
Took off his glasses.
We're looking at I'm very serious right now. We're looking at 200 episodes now, and honestly, man, this isn't a shot at you or me. I never thought that this was going to get past 20, 25, and if we had done that, I would have been happy, right? I would have produced something that I was proud of with my friend. But now I'm 200 episodes deep. I've produced something that I'm extremely proud of with one of my closest friends I've met in my entire life. And I've grown a family and a group around this wrestling that I never would have had if it wasn't for that one text saying, "Hey, you want to talk about wrestling on a podcast?" And I was like, are people going to want to listen to the dumb fucking shit that I have to say? Like, I'm an asshole. I'm a hater. Y'all have heard me. If you've listened to more than one episode of this show, you know I can be a hater and a handful. But at the end of the day, we've had people that have listened to every single episode religiously. And we may not have the biggest following, but I can tell you damn well that we have the best following because they're all family. They're all friends. They're all part of our lives, whether they know it or not. And all I can say is that I have nothing but love from the top to the bottom of my heart for Omar, who is, my new friend, John, who I've known for a really long time, Joe, who I've known for a little bit longer than Drew, and Drew here, who I've become very close with as well. Shout out Chelsea Football Club. Yeah. But seriously, Eric, I love you. I love this podcast. Love you too, I love how much we've grown as a group, how many opinions I've got to fire off, how many times I've got to agree with you, how many times I've got to call you a fucking asshole idiot face. I don't think I would have rather have done it with anybody else in the whole fucking world, man. And honestly, Wakanda forever. For real. I don't know what else to say because I'm truly emotional when it comes to this. When we hit 100, I was very emotional. We hit 200 now. And, now I'm just looking at, man, when are we going to get to 4? What am I going to do for the 500th 100%. Episode? So the sky's the limit for us at this point.
Absolutely. And yeah, like over the course of this time, like, low key, we've had some struggles personally. And I feel like I can at least only speak for myself. I'm at a point right now where I feel like I'm in very much in a renewal stage of my life. And I feel very, very motivated to grow this brand bigger and bigger. And and just we're putting in the work and I'm excited.
Putting the work every day. We're making our contacts. We're making our connections. And we want to be a part of your show. We want to be you to be a part of ours. So to all wrestling fans, wrestling, promoters, wrestlers, announcers, refs, anybody, you want to be on the show, you want to be a part of the show, holler at us because we love it. We're a family. We want you to be part of our family. Just bring it in. Every single person that's, wrestling is a family. We're inclusive of everybody. That's the way we want to do this shit. So, everybody just support as best you can. And we're going to just keep doing the best we can for y'all.
Yeah. And if you're a promoter and you're listening to this or a wrestler, like going on here, they're not putting themselves over. They have so much respect for the industry and for what these people do. And I think that anyone who's listened to like any 5-minute snippet of any pod for these first 200 will attest to that. You guys have so much respect for the industry and the sacrifices that these people put on. And I think that it's palpable. It makes you, no matter what, have much more respect. It brings people who have been cycled out of being fans back into it. So it's contagious. So if I wanted to put myself over, I would definitely come out on here.
Thanks, Omar.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. And that's always a focus whenever we have a wrestler as the guest. It's not about putting ourselves over. It's about putting them over. We're not trying to be Aubrey Edwards and making the match about ourselves.
Oh, geez.
The Colin Delaney interview was fire.
You're just firing shots at Aubrey Edwards for no fucking reason.
I literally just did that to get under Dan's skin, but that's
I was about to say that was intentional.
That was
sorry, don't be sorry.
I don't want to. Okay, can we? I got emotional. I got mushy, and then you're like, "Yo, fuck Aubrey Edwards for no reason." That is so cold,
Can't
bro.
hide the truth, Dan.
I don't really feel that way. I just wanted to say it just to piss off Dan. Because that's part of the show, guys.
It worked.
Yeah,
it's fine. Getting me angry it's very easy though. Like,
yeah,
I'm a yeah. Fuck you guys.
100%.
Are we gonna talk about more wrestling? I'm tired, man.
We don't have to talk about more wrestling, guys. I know we've already gone pretty long. I guess I can just say overall, it wasn't really the most remarkable Dynamite that happened last night. Can we say that fairly? Remarkable.
She was putting me to sleep, bro.
Let's just say that the only thing that I thought that was just straight fucking fire was the segment with Daniel Garcia and Christian.
Yo, Christian's the best right now, man.
Yeah,
he has me rolling.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Garcia has a dead dad too. So,
Do you think that when Edge makes his way back into the picture, that he's also just going to be like, your father was never around, I can be that too? Like, and just
it's only a matter of time.
Like, it's just, dude, this guy has me dying on the couch, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, like, how are you, like, I get it, man, and maybe the wound is fresh, but like, how do you let Sting put my dad just died in a promo, like, anywhere in close proximity to the fucking shit that we just saw Christian Cage say? Like, that is so cold-blooded, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I could have greenlit that. I don't know. That's too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
You seen the attendance was only 3,000 last night? Not even, it was like 2,800.
And that's kind of sad.
Can I tell you what I don't care about?
20,000 seat arena empty.
It wasn't a 20,000 seat arena, you psychopath.
Look at from my vantage point.
Oh, from what vantage point? What vantage point were you at in the arena, you dipshit?
Hey, you know what? To be fair, if you're giving us, if you're advertising to us a 6-man tag match,
that makes no sense. I get
Dynamite main event. That's not necessarily going to bring people to the arena. I'm sorry, it's just not. And that's why I think it's important.
What was the arena name? I'll look up the
just hired Golden Globe award-winning soap opera
Emmy
award-winning soap opera producer to actually implement some fire storylines into this promotion. So
I think that's good news, man.
Yeah, I think it is too.
News. I think it beefs up the storylines. I think it will add cohesion to the actual stories outside of the in-ring storytelling. I think it's a brilliant hire, to be completely honest.
Because let's be honest, guys, like, we champion indie wrestling on this podcast. We love indie wrestling, but I just think that Tony can be a little bit too much of an indie wrestling promoter and booker for a TV promotion, you know. And I think that he needs to kind of he needs to defer a bit to what TV wrestling is. There's still elements of indie wrestling that can be present on the show in terms of like work rate and stuff like that. But you can't just
agree on this
matches out there.
Can we just agree on this? Like, I get it. It's probably a little indie centric. It's fine, right? But like, can you guys admit that he gets a lot of flack for no storytelling? The stuff is still there. Like, it might not all be good, but there's still stories, and they're just not spoon-fed to you all the time. And I'm not saying that you have to watch Being the Elite or anything like that. I'm saying that they're more subtle than, oh, we're going to recap this as soon as we get back from break every single fucking time. That's all I'm saying.
There are stories that are there, but I mean, I just feel like a lot of like the filler stuff doesn't need to be happening.
Nobody thinks the stories are bad because they're subtle. They're bad because they just suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like this. Like I'm not like, oh, this story would have been better if it was more.
I'm not going to say that all the stories suck, but they definitely deal with a lot of inconsistencies.
What story sucks right now? I want to know what you think sucks.
Undisputed Kingdom. I hate it.
Okay.
Hate
I
it.
think that's fucking trash.
Okay.
I think Bang Bang Scissor
what's the story? I think that there's no story at all.
Has totally lost the plot. Like I said before,
How so?
Because they were supposed to be together to vanquish the Undisputed Kingdom because they were the ones behind the masks all this time attacking both of those groups.
Yeah,
so they got together to protect themselves. Yet not once since they've gotten together have they even mentioned the Undisputed Kingdom. It's just fucking confusing to me.
Yeah.
It just feels like they're having a party together. And it's weird. And like I would be welcome to it more if there wasn't that context involved, but the fact is, you know, as a viewer, like, and you're presenting this happening and this group attacks these guys and they're together for that reason and you're not going back to that, it's weird, it's confusing.
Okay.
Also, it's been like 450 days since Malachi Black's in a singles match on.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
You know what I mean? Come on, bro. Like, give me more Malachi and House of Black too. Give me all that.
So do you take the reports that Malachi won't do a job seriously?
I don't know.
If he's not willing to do that, I'm not saying I know.
Do that for Tony Khan.
What?
So I wouldn't be willing to do that for Tony Khan either. I'm one of the best.
You wouldn't be willing to lose a match.
Are you burying me?
Well, he should be losing a match, but he does
like
need
losing
to be
a match isn't a burial.
Yeah,
right. That's fair. If
he should be in a more meaningful program.
He's got a bigger problem, but like if I'm Tony Khan, I'm trying to put him in some shitty story, selling him some shit storyline that's all fucking jumbled and stuff. I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Or he has his own creative power, which is likely because of AEW and how it is, and he's coming to Tony Khan with I'm gonna win, 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 and he's like, no, why am I gonna bury every single other person you're putting in front of me?
And we're just speculating, right?
Speculating, completely.
Right now,
recklessly
the fact remains that we haven't seen him in a singles match in a very long time, and we really haven't seen a lot of like meaningful feuds for the House of Black, which is a
I think the 6-man match last night
best
was
athlete they have.
And that's the one thing that I'll complain about is stop and go booking, that like momentum kind of is built and then it doesn't either facilitate into something or it just stops. And so many times, especially with House of Black, I'm like, yes, this is building somewhere. This is building. And then, dude, like you getting so enthralled with a star like Brody King and just wanting to see, okay, what's this rise? But it doesn't. You just at some points get to the point where you're like, well, maybe this will never really facilitate something. Maybe it was aimless. Maybe they truly didn't have something booked for him. But one thing that you'll always say is that in other promotions, a bigger one per se, is that if they see that someone's getting the reaction or getting the look that Brody King will be, they'll change course in order to highlight that. And I just feel like it's very stop and go.
Yes, and
So
I think that is also emblematic of the fact that they just have so many people on the roster that they're trying to tell. Like, oftentimes they're trying to tell a lot of different stories at the same time, and that doesn't work either. Because, like, even if you are telling a good story, if there's like a 2-week gap into when you last told that story, you kind of lost people at that point.
So here's what I'll ask you. Gun to your head. And I would take away a lot of. I will give credence to your complaints about how the stories are stop and go and whatever, and maybe that's fine. But bloated roster. Now we're getting more women's matches than ever.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and I thought that.
So we are getting a reaction.
And I think that was a positive from last night's show. You know, you had 2 women's matches that happened that were relevant to a story that was going on, and they both happened before that traditional 9:20 time slot.
Yeah, man.
So I thought that was a really good change that they made. And, you know, they cannot have. And oftentimes AEW will just have a women's match on Dynamite just to have a women's match that's just completely cold. It's just kind of
all the time.
And they need to stop doing that too.
But they're putting effort into it more so now.
They are.
Put the effort in if you make sure it's good. Like, keep it going. you know.
But
Yeah, I
but
mean, if you're
don't. But
investing what they're investing in Sasha Banks, you have to.
But
Right,
I think that
please,
what they've
thank
been
God.
doing has been really good. Like you might call it a nothing match, but look at the exposure that Amanada has gotten over these weeks of wrestling. You know, the Serena Deebs, the Dianas, the Tony Storms. Like that's building somebody up. So they've been
Absolutely.
doing a good job with this women's division. And truthfully, it's going to be at the expense of some of the men that you might want to see. Now, with that being said, there are plot holes abound. And that's where I'm hoping that this Julie Zimmerman character comes in and sort of helps with the continuity and the plot holes and the things like that nature. Because if that is truly what happens, then we're off to the races.
100%.
Because
I just feel like Tony struggles to make me really latch on to like certain stories and get invested in. You know what I mean? It's always one is really good, but then he'll do something like last night with the 6-man tag. Like that Swerve Hangman Samoa Joe shit the week before, that 3-way promo was fire. And then this is what comes out of it. It's just like, why? Why the fuck is RVD in there?
I didn't like it.
Like, what is going on?
Like I can understand how like Hook ties into the story because he's been feuding with Joe, and Rob Van Dam faced Swerve the week before, and Cage faced Hangman.
Right, but like, who cares? Like,
I know, but like, I understand the thought process behind it, but I still didn't really like the fact that this is like the big selling point of this show. It's still
it's not a main event. It's not a main event.
Yeah,
it was only a main event because Joe was in it. That's all.
Right.
The other thing too, though, going back to the women for a second, is like Tony let Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker main event that one Dynamite where they had that insane hardcore match or whatever, and like nothing changed after that. Like it didn't click in. You know what I mean? It was just the same, like you said, the same meaningless, cold ass match at 9:30 where everybody knows what time it is, and it's just half the match picture in picture, and it just it's so
hasn't been thing in a couple of months. Though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they've definitely given them more opportunity, but it was so bad because of the immense roster that they had of talent for women, and they were like, "Yo, dude, if you're not going to fit in to this 10-minute slot we're giving you, you're not going to be heard of other than maybe a 30-second promo in backstage." And so thankfully that's changed, and
big time.
With time it'll only get better if they continue to invest in it. But if you have a
female in charge. Yeah.
I just think
exactly, but you can't like advertise yourself as the progressive brand that's fair to your employees and much more progressive like socially too, but not give your women the opportunity or face time to succeed. So I'm really happy that it's able to change because as Triple H has taken more and more power, I think that some of our complaints about AEW has become due to the fact that WWE has been producing a better product.
Yes.
And I think that's unfair because some of the things that we're complaining about for AEW that we liked as a result of it being different initially. And now that WWE's kind of matured in a sense, or at least been more consistent with storylines, it's like, these guys have to like differentiate themselves again or do something better. So that's just my soapbox.
And I think that they are absolutely capable of doing it. The only thing that's holding them back is if Tony is not willing to be open-minded and be able to let other people, not really take the reins, but take more control of certain storylines. If he has a direction that's one way, I hope he's receptive to another idea that may make the storyline that much better.
Yeah.
I mean, the criticism all comes from like a good place. You know what I mean? Like I watch Dynamite more religiously than SmackDown or Raw. I think it's more because like you guys really are like, it's more something to talk about. But like I do like this stuff, and I just want to see it continue. I don't want to see it like keep losing these ratings and losing friggin' attendance and shit. And then like all of a sudden now we got just a monopoly, like or got to go to TNA or whatever. It's like no. I like it as an alternative. I just want to see it be successful. I just don't want to stick our head in the sand and not think about the problems that are there.
And you mentioning TNA too. I think that Scott D'Amore would be a huge get for AEW.
No, TNA is cooked, bro.
Yeah, were those TikTok things, the clock emojis though, in reference to him being re-signed? I thought. Did you read that?
It was Josh Alexander that was re-signed. Scott Demore is out.
I know, but I know that they announced that they didn't announce. I mean, they initiated that contract clause, right? He didn't want it.
Yeah.
But I read
why?
somewhere that they are posting that because they have listened to the demands backstage and they are bringing him back.
Oh, really?
Scott. Yeah, and so that's what the emojis were in reference to.
Well, I mean, it's so like
good.
I don't know if we talked too much about that before, but it's so insane that you have a guy that has pulled a TNA from irrelevant to making them absolutely relevant in wrestling once again, and he asked for more money in order to make the product better, which he has already made better. And they're like, no, we'd rather just get rid of you. It's like, what?
Yeah, and he's also beloved by the people backstage.
Yeah,
that's a thing. So your employees are definitely pissed about this decision, and
sure.
And that's why I believe that's what they were referencing. So yeah,
I don't know, man.
What's up, Dan?
I hope he's right. I hope it's not because they're all just biding their time to leave.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought.
That would be horrible. Yeah. But I mean, if it was that, dude, that is wild. It's just all of you. But the fact that Tommy Dreamer's on there too makes me feel like it's a corporately endorsed move.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy,
absolutely.
Yo, when Drunk was screaming at him at Bound for Glory, I was dying. We were right next to the ramp.
Him and Bully Ray, two biggest fucking.
Bro. The way you cooked Eddie Edwards had his wife mad at you, bro.
Oh my God.
Can we not bring that up?
Yo, his wife.
Oh yeah.
Tight.
When you were cooking Eddie Edwards, though, you cooking him
the whole night, cooking poor Eddie, and his wife just looked over at you like with the fire of 1,000 suns. My man.
Any quotes for someone who wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't remember. It was a lot to do.
Yeah,
with,
I don't
Eddie's
I asked Eddie if he has a thyroid issue.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Is that over the line?
Well, you know what? I used to love Eddie Edwards, man, and I was there when he won the Ring of Honor World Title at Best in the World. I'm sorry, whatever. It's irrelevant to you guys. Back in 2011, I did watch him win the Ring of Honor World Title live. And I've been a fan of him for a long time, but he just, ever since that Sami Callihan feud, he's just gotten fat, and he's changed his ring work, and he's not the same guy anymore. And I don't know. I was just over him, and I wasn't happy that he was in the title match.
Didn't he get his head smashed in?
Yeah, by Sami Callihan, who also got really fat too.
Yo, what's with the fucking body shaming today, Eric?
But dude, like they used to be two guys that I genuinely enjoyed loving, but
that's what holds me back on Eddie,
which apparently put them on the map, quote unquote. But I'll say that moment kind of was the downfall of both of their careers.
Yeah.
In hindsight, like they just became different wrestlers that I didn't enjoy watching anymore. That's it. Yeah.
So I feel like the gut holds Eddie Kingston back too, man.
You feel like what?
I feel like the gut holds Eddie Kingston back a little bit. Like I feel like Eddie just would be so much more of like an intimidating, savage presence if he just had some fucking muscle on him. You know what I mean? Like, and he's not like the greatest athlete, so I think it gets in the way. But other than that, like I just think he's just more. His characters just would be so much more like raw and like just like more.
Can
like
I say
intimidating
something?
Presence.
Well, Drew, don't you think that some of his appeal is based off of that though? That it matches.
He looks like him every minute.
It just makes it look like kind of like he's just. I think he's kind of like punky then. You know what I mean?
Listen,
like,
Drew. It's not like he's not putting in the work, because if you follow him on social media, you'll know that he has a personal trainer, and his name is Cesar Bononi. He used to be on the AEW roster. And
I remember him. Okay.
Yeah. He's putting Eddie through a really good regimen, and Eddie is looking a bit better.
Well, then that's good. I'm not gonna like shame him for that. Like I've been saying it from the start, because I think he's got like that prison yard, vibe, like tough kind of guy. And I just feel like give me some prison muscles with it, and it really just takes him to the next fucking level. and the sky's the limit for Eddie because he's fucking
Shout out to Prison Muscles.
Straight up.
Kevin Owens too. I mean, I think he has that same kind of everyman appeal.
Yeah, he's got the appeal, but I think he makes it work for what the one thing I would change about Kingston is those slaps.
Chops. I know. The boots and the pants are solid, but like the singlet top on the top, I think. But if he gets ripped, who knows? Then you can take it off.
No, I was talking about slaps. The slaps he does.
Oh, you don't like the slaps he does?
I think that he can be executed a little better. I like it, but sometimes it's looked lacking.
He's trying to do him like Kawada.
I miss AEW's old lighting. I think the bright lighting hurt them, to be completely honest with you. But I'm going to weigh in now. Drew, first of all, have you enjoyed your last visit to the show?
Yeah, 200 seems like a good way to go out.
Okay.
I was just saying, body language. I just said something.
That took a second to register. Yep.
Yeah, just checking. There is no shaming of Eddie Kingston on this show, body or not. He actually looks like somebody I would be afraid of. Like, glamour muscles do fucking nothing for me. I don't need him to be all jacked. He looks like a dude that stands outside of the bodega that if you say one word to him, he's going to slap your fucking head off your shoulders.
With the toothpick arms that he has? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Just give him some beef up, and then you look more intimidating.
I think some of the fastest hands on this planet have arms that look like twigs.
Yeah, and they're like karate people. That's not Eddie Kingston.
Brother. The hood dude's got hands, man. Okay, keep hating. That's fine. Listen.
I said that he was awesome. I just said I think it would take his act to the next level if he just got in a little bit better shape. I don't need him to be Chris Masters or Triple H ripped. I just want him to have a little more just a little more beef to him, like in the better area.
Very specific.
That's why
I don't really take offense to what Drew said.
Chris Masters, where did that come from?
It's a personal preference, and
do you got something you want to tell us, Drew?
I mean, look at the room I'm sitting in.
That's true. He's gonna be doing that thing from fucking Billy Madison when we all go off camera. Where the list of people where he's gonna fucking take
put on some lipstick.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
But all kidding aside, don't ever insult Eddie in any way, shape, or form on my show again.
I think that's a little ridiculous, Dan. You can make like he already said that he was a fan of Eddie. And
I wasn't initially, but I fuck with Eddie now.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have a problem.
I drafted him last year in our run through draft, and you were pissed.
I know.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't worry. I got my plan in place for this year's draft. You've been studying fucking NFL players for our dynasty league. I've been studying wrestlers for our wrestler draft. So
I'm ready to do
Get
both.
ready.
Good.
Get ready. It's on, bitches.
Dan, we have any questions today?
No.
You guys watching Elimination Chamber this weekend?
No, you have to get up. You get up at 5 a.m.?
You have to get up at 5 a.m. Yeah. It's
on Saturday morning?
Yeah.
I mean, I watch it when I wake up.
yeah. Same. Yo, the card is kind of whack though. If you look at it top to bottom, it's not good.
It isn't the greatest. You're not wrong there.
So yeah, the road to WrestleManias lately have been kind of lackluster, where you know where everything's going. It's not like a couple of years ago back during the Danielson run, or even Kofi Mania, where there was so much like uncertainty. We kind of know where everything's headed. We're getting a freaking promo, an interview as a segment on the show. Like it's
what interview?
The Grayson Waller effect.
Oh, with who?
Mania.
With Cody and Seth.
Wait, that's happening at Elimination Chamber?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Right.
I thought you meant Mania, and I was like, what?
Oh, no. I'm talking about the road. So the road, just being a little bit less.
Yeah, they have not promoted this. This EC card has not been good. They have not promoted it well, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't care that much, honestly. I guess the only thing on the road to WrestleMania that I'm curious about is The only question mark for me is like, who's going to face Gunther?
That's a
Who are they
good
going to get?
question.
I kind of want
think
Gunther to
they're
keep
going to have Jay
retaining.
versus Jimmy at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Dragunov, do it.
I know.
That'd be
but, like,
fire.
He just hasn't been built on the main roster yet.
I know.
Couple guys that come to mind for me is I would love to see them run it back with Chad Gable, and
Done.
maybe get Braun Breaker going.
Braun or Pete Dunne. That could be another
Pete
one
Dunne. Yeah.
I'd watch.
So originally, was he not supposed to face Lesnar?
He was supposed to face Lesnar originally.
So was this whatever he was going to be involved in? Was it not intended to put him more over? He wasn't going to lose to Lesnar.
No, I think he was gonna.
I think he was going to
over
beat
Lesnar.
Lesnar. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like whatever we're trying to put with him right now should continue to put him over in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
that's why it's
who,
very
though?
difficult for me because like who do you do? Anything else is built for the competitor. I thought maybe there was a chance they would try to put Jay and Jimmy in that match too.
Like a triple
Instead
threat.
instead of just running it as a brother thing with the whole stipulation of like, will one of the brothers wind up get their first singles title at the expense of the other one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything for Gunther, and I think that he deserves the spotlight moment.
It also doesn't put a loss on his record, and it gets the international or IC title off of him to send him towards Seth.
I mean, dude, I didn't even think about him losing like that. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna take that as
Gunther's
my
one of the
intention.
best.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want to see Gunther drop it to someone like Chad Gable, who has like taken it, who's a guy that really deserves that shine on him. And if he beats Gunther, because Gunther losing the title at this point, he's already solidified that he is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. He is already a world beater. It doesn't really matter to me who he loses to, because they're going to remember that reign more than who he lost it to.
Correct.
Gunther put out so many bangers.
Don't you want to protect that loss though? Don't you want it to be somebody who you're really trying to build?
Yeah, I want like that's my wishful thinking though. I want it to be Chad.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it plays. I see a more likely scenario being Braun Breaker.
Why Gable?
Why Gable? Because like I thought that the matches that they had against each other this past year were so phenomenal.
Yeah, they were good.
He was the first person that I saw wrestling Gunther where I was just like, I genuinely wouldn't mind Gunther losing to Chad Gable here. But that was also around the time that Gunther was trying to break that record. So you didn't want to see Gunther not break the record. So that was true. That was a time in WWE where I was conflicted.
One of those was here in Charlotte, and I didn't go. I'm fucking
yeah. So like that's where I stand with it. But regardless, I think Gunther, win or lose, he's going to have a big spotlight on him.
Yep. I agree.
Deserves it.
What else we got tonight, Eric?
Fellas, I think that's it. Like
wrap it up, B.
I think we have really said our piece. We appreciate everyone who has contributed to this show over the years, and damn, just what a ride it's been. And we're continuing this ride, and we hope that you guys will be with us as we move forward. So as always, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and go check out our link tree. We have our YouTube up there with all the great wrestler interviews that I mentioned before. We have our What a Maneuver store.
Buy some shit.
We'll try to get some more designs up there soon. I know we have a little bit of an outdated logo there. But we'll get the new logo going and everything
coming soon.
And yeah, guys, just thank you all for the support over the years.
Thank you. Gentlemen, you have anything you want to say parting?
No. Thank you guys. And this was awesome. And I can't wait for number 300, 400, 500. You guys make it fun again. So thank you.
I say it all the time. It's like you guys are like my favorite podcast on wrestling to listen to. It's the first one, you know, that I always go to when it's a new episode out and everything like that. And like Omar said earlier, I do, you know, like I know you guys are my friends and everything, but at the same time, I'm like, I keep listening because it's good. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be on here if I didn't think that. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Miracle Generation too, my boys.
Get that Miracle Generation shot.
Those are my guys, yo. I like them. And
like Drew said though, I also favorite podcast, wrestling podcast, other than Ryback's.
Thank you, brother. Other than who?
Ryback, the big guy.
No, we just got flamed for fucking Ryback. I'm dead. I quit. I'm dead.
No.
I'm dead.
What happened to everyone having their own opinion, guys?
You know, I can totally see Omar listening to Ryback's podcast just to get a good laugh.
I'm sure it's
dude, now I'm the one who's hurt.
We put over most people. We can't put over Ryback. And on that note, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep watching wrestling.